What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Sunday swinging edition of the MLB Smoke Shop, where we're hitting them hard, as we have been the past few weeks here on Heat Ratio Sports Network. I'm Dave Gloeckner at D Gloeck, and that's Tech Money at Tech Money. What's up, brother?
What's going on? Hey, I'm ready for another Sunday show. We've been hot, man. Overall, the Cards have been just on fire. So let's keep that trend going today.
Yeah, I love it. And then, up here in the Northeast, got a little rain. I think this is a perfect day. Just settle in, watch the card. Lots of good games up and down the slate. Man, some live dogs. I like a bunch, but you got to just narrow in and settle in. Tech, I had to do that this morning. I had like 5 on the board. I really liked, but I'm going to narrow into 2 or 3 here. I'll start with the Tampa Bay Rays. Going out in Minnesota, they've lost a couple in some heartbreaking fashion this weekend, but today – they roll in there to try and avoid the sweep. 2 very good teams, 2 potential playoff teams, as Minnesota is really looking the part now, and we all know what Tampa does. Today, Jeffrey Springs is going for Tampa, and he's a lefty that's been really good since they started to roll him out in the rotation and stretch him out and become pretty much a valid starter for them. In his last 5 starts, he's got a 1.32 ERA, 27 Ks over the 27 and a third innings he's pitched, averaging just about 6 innings an outing. So he's really started to settle in and stabilize that rotation, especially when they've had a little bit of uncertainty here and there. As you saw, they had to bring up Shane Baz yesterday. But Minnesota, more importantly, as much as they're mashing teams, they mashed Cole the other night. They got to Baz yesterday. Not as well against lefties. In the past 2 weeks, 25th in batting average, 25th in WOBA, 26th in OBP. So it's a team that maybe we can get a little exposure with a lefty going against them. And then on the flip, they got that Cole Sands going with a 9+ ERA. I think you attacked the Rays yesterday in the first 3. They're a hitting team, and they're able to put up some runs here. I think it's going to be enough for Springs. I think they need 3 or 4, and they'll be fine. And I think that's plenty off Cole Sands. So I like the Rays today. They, a couple books out there, 120. You're getting some decent value on what I think is definitely the better pitcher, probably by a wide margin.
I like it. And what's interesting, though, is when Cole Sands was able to see Tampa Bay back on May 1st, he was only out there for 2 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. Not much, nothing that he gave up stuff. So I'm thinking if he's going to start here, he's going to continue to have trouble because his last 2 games, again, 8 hits, 4 runs, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks, and another game, 4 runs, 1 home run. He's given up home runs. And I can just see that by looking at quick on the fly. I'm looking at Cole Sands, and I see that. Here's the problem. 33% ground ball rate. So we talked about this all year. When it's below 38, he's having trouble. And it's interesting to see that he's already given up 4 home runs this year, basically making 4 outings. That just says, in a season when we know compared to the last so many, it's hard to get a home run this year. Even in warmer weather, it's still hard. It's still, the numbers are down. This guy, you wouldn't even be able to tell with this person pitching now. And that's great. 10% walk rate. That's the red flag, 10% and above. So it's easy for this guy to give up a walk. And, he's given up a dinger or a sacrifice hit, sacrifice RBIs come into play. So I like it right there to keep it simple. I just think that the Rays should be able to get on Cole and get him out of the inning, get him out of the game early and fast and go into that bullpen.
Which would be great. Obviously, Minnesota is playing well. They're looking for the sweep today. Yep. But I think Tampa Bay, it's tough to beat a team like Tampa 3 straight, especially when that pitching margin is that wide between Sands and Springs. And then if you do dip into the bullpen, as you mentioned earlier, Minnesota, 3.97 bullpen ERA, right about, 18th in the league. So it's not they're not great there. So we could attack that too if he gets pulled shortly. So I like it even better. I'm checking that one, checking the box there, locking that up, and let's pass it over to you I think you got a good angle on this one.
Yeah, I've been really keen on looking at these pitcher props on giving up walks. So today I'm looking at Ranger Suarez for the Philadelphia Phillies to give up over 1.5 walks. I got it at -115 this morning at DraftKings. It's now -120. And just to keep it simple, Arizona now in their last week or so have dropped as a team on a walk rate. They're down there, and I shouldn't say it as if it's a negative thing. They're still high. They're the top 4 team as a team walking at 9.5%. Now they were like 10.2 or so about over a week ago when I remember catching. I was like, wow, Arizona's walking line. Since then, I've been noticing they've been in some, discipline trouble there with or not. I just think today, Suarez, he's given it up. He's about 8 point something percent. I would love to see him near 10. But if you go look at his box scores and just be a very simple square better there, and you look at that, he's basically 8-2, giving up over 1.5 walks this year. So it's something that's just hitting for him. And I just think when you're facing a team that so far this season is walking at 9.5% clip, I think it's a situation where you would expect this team to be able to get 2 walks while Ranger Suarez is out there. So that's why I'm on it. And I like the price between, again, I had 115. It's at 120. I still like it. And that's why I'm on it. And that's why it's my official.
Yeah, I like it. So I'm going to remember we had a text earlier in the week. You leaned on something. I said, hey, I'm leaning Suarez over K's, Skubal over K's.
Right.
And Suarez hit. He got 5 when it was 4.5. But I'll tell you what, when I was watching that game, he got a little lucky with some of the inside strike calls. He was just off the plate a tad, and he got a couple extra calls. I'm trying to see what we're looking at today. Walk percentage looks like, do we have any walk boost stats? Okay, the home plate umpire today is Jordan Baker.
Okay.
His walk rate is right. He's even. His walk boost is 1.01. So he's a little on the higher side of a walking umpire. So if he just tightens that zone a tad, I think you're walking away with this one maybe by the second, third day.
I like that.
It's definitely a factor you got to consider when the game's that close and you have a pitcher that lives on edges like Ranger Suarez. He's not just going to blow you away with cutters down the middle because he's going to get hit. He needs to work those edges. So if he's not getting those calls, they turn into walks. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to give another one out here. Another full game angle that I really like today. They're chanting out in Chicago, fire Tony, fire Tony. And I'll tell you the truth, we were doing that here in Philly a couple weeks ago, but it was fire Joe. And it kind of, you see what that energy has done to the Phillies. Still winning 9 in a row, going for 10 today. And it's something I think is bound to happen. But I hope it waits a day or two, because if you remember when the Phillies did fire Girardi, it was off a win. I'm looking today at the Chicago White Sox to come back with a little bit of energy and get a dub today. Whatever they do to Tony tomorrow, we'll see. But listen, John Gray's just not very good. He had this one good start mixed in a bunch of bad ones. He pitched against Tampa and actually threw 12 Ks. And then it was like, is John Gray back? He had removed a knee brace that he thought was kind of hindering his mobility, probably more of his push off and stuff. But then he comes back, in his next start against Cleveland and gets smoked again. It's back to the same old John Gray. And, if you look at some of the advanced metrics, I mean, the White Sox, not a huge sample size, but they're in about the 40 plate appearance against John Gray, hit 333 against him. A lot of that's Pollock. But even more importantly, when you look at John Gray, look at his splits. On the road, he's 0-3 with a 5.94 ERA. He just doesn't pitch well anywhere, but especially on the road. And on the flip, you got Kopech. And, I mean, it's a guy that I still think we're going to see a lot of regression attack probably later in the season. His 1.94 ERA is total smoke and mirrors. His FIP's 3.12, but his Sierra is somewhere in the 4s. So we do know there will be regression, but his home ERA is 1.61. He's pitched pretty well there. Again, I'm looking at the margin of the pitchers, the starting pitchers, and I think there's a wide one here between Kopech and Gray. And then, listen, the White Sox blew a 5-0 lead yesterday. They might have had a players' meeting last night. There's some things that they need fixed, and the only way you fix things is get a dub. So I like the White Sox today. I think the price is right. 150 is not bad for the better team by far. So White Sox got to get going soon, Tech. Otherwise, they might be just too far out of this because Minnesota's starting to, open up a pretty wide margin.
Right. What I like to see here is that White Sox are bringing a full right side bat lineup today to hit with. I can't talk right today. But what's interesting is that John Gray, being a right-handed pitcher, he's actually allowing 330 to the right. So he's actually worse to the right than the left. So if they had this meeting and if I'm with you, they have to come out firing today, and they have John Gray right here, almost handed to them, saying, "Look, I let up 330 to the right." So just to keep it simple, I think the White Sox should be able to do some damage here. They got a 4.38 run total. I wish it was higher. You can't really rely on these things anyway, but at least it's not lower. It's not in that red area. So I think it's something that these guys can work with. And Rangers are much lower today when you look at just the run total, 3.62, and Kopech allowing 256 to the left, 253 to the right. He's keeping the ball down. And the batted ball in play, it's important. It's obviously it's important, but it's really important this year because you're not just giving up home runs and easy hits like that. So you have to really work a pitcher. But if you're not even if the pitcher's not even workable, then you're just really, the edge is against you, right? So I just think I'm with you here. I think the edge is on the White Sox, and I like it.
Yeah, nice. All right. Always love to hear when we're on the same side.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're going to lean here with another angle that you think is, potentially profitable.
Yeah, another one. It's a walk prop. And the only reason it's going to be lean is a little expensive. It's Keegan Thompson. Now it jumped back up. So it's Keegan Thompson to give up 1.5 walks to the Yankees. It is at minus 175 at DraftKings. Now, when we started the show, it was at 160, but before the show, it was at 175. So it's floating around. That's why it's out there as a lean. It's just a little too much. It could definitely happen. I'll give you numbers, though. The Yankees second highest as a team walk rate, 9.9%. So that's very high, right? Now, Keegan Thompson himself, I lost sight of it. If I can catch it on the fly here. There it is. 11% walk rate between last year and this season. So just overall, the guy gives up over the red flag we're looking for, 10%. And you get a team here that's almost at 10% at 9.9. You rarely do get a full team that's above 10% consistently for the year. You only have the Dodgers doing that right now at 10.7. Remember, we talked about D-backs probably at the last week's show. I mentioned earlier in the show how they were up at 10.2, and now they're down there. So just to see the Yankees, I've noticed they've been creeping up in the last few weeks, I think, in the walk rate by slowly. So I like how they're at 9.9%, and I like Keegan Thompson giving up 11%. I'm surprised the line's at 1.5 for the walk there, not 2.5 with something more affordable for the public. But hey, maybe if that's something that if you like what you're seeing or like what I said and you agree with it, maybe you can throw it in some parlay or something that you like to do. But that's why it's a lean. It's a little expensive.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, the Yankees are they're torture on pitchers, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, they picked it up.
Yeah, and you can't really attack them, in the plate. So you got to nibble a little, especially with a guy like Thompson's stuff. So I kind of like that angle from the perspective of he's going to try and pitch perfect. And if he doesn't get a little bit on the outsides, Yankees are patient enough to absolutely take those. You pointed that out. All right, I'm going to give a dog. I always give a dog in this show. And it's been pretty good. I think it's 3-1, something around there. The dogs bark. And we've been – there's a couple out there that I think are really live today. I do like the Angels a little bit. I got to see where that's landing later. Well, they're not a dog. I'm sorry, the Red Sox later. They're a dog, but I'm just trying to see where that pitching lineup goes. But attacking Robbie Ray, I think, with that lineup, it is probably a good sound strategy. So it might turn into a Red Sox over run line first 5. I just got to see where they're at in the pitching rotation tonight. But the one I do like during the day, a little later in the afternoon too, are the San Francisco Giants. And Tek, this rivalry is just great, right? It's probably the best one in baseball. I mean, I know you got the Yankees, Red Sox, and we're all there for that. But out west, these two teams have just been great the past 2 years, and with both going over 100 wins last year, they're almost stepping up again. And San Fran started to kind of fall off a little bit in the past week or two, but they got their energy back as soon as LA came into town. And now they're going for the series sweep today. And we got Carlos Rodon going against Julio Urias. And it's a really good matchup with two lefties. And in my opinion, I think there's a little bit more value in this game with Rodon. He fell off a little bit. But in the past 2 outings, he's actually started to pick it back up. He's starting to get more of what he was early in the season because he was unhittable the first month. You go back and look at the month of April, he was 1.17 ERA and looked like the steal of the offseason. Now, he has had one game against the Dodgers earlier in the season, and he did lose 3-1 to Urias, but that was, a good, tough battle. And I think today when you're getting plus money on the Giants and you're looking at a team that has had some success off of Urias, and in the same sentence, Rodon pitches so good against that Dodgers lineup. Let's just look at some of the guys in that lineup. Mookie Betts, 1 for 14. Freeman, 0 for 3. Turner, 1 for 3. Bellinger, 0 for 3. Combined, 2 for 23. off Rodon. They hit 086 or 186 and 63 plate appearances. So I think he kind of neutralizes a lot of what they want to do up there. And we already highlighted it was a 3-1 game earlier. Hey, you get that similar type game and you're getting plus money on a team that's already won the first two. I think they're a real live dog tonight. You're getting plus 120 in a lot of books. Fun game. A lot of times, and you've seen this in the MLB Tech, and tell me if I'm wrong, there's more value on the team going for the sweep sometimes, especially when they're the dog, than there is a team trying to avoid the sweep. And I know I'm doing a little opposite with the Rays, but a lot of times sweeps happen more often than they don't.
Absolutely, in baseball for sure. And because sometimes some of the they start looking ahead to the traveling and the next series and all this. There's so much planning and forecasting you have to do in baseball. I think that maybe that would have to be analysis on, but that probably leans into what you're saying with the sweep. But look, you know me, I haven't done it yet this show, so we're gonna throw it in now. The -1,
yeah,
we can do the -1. The Giants are plus 185 at DraftKings -1. Check Caesars, they're the other book that offers it. Maybe I don't know if it's higher or not. But look, here's what I like about this. I was trying to put some thoughts together as you said it. Now, here's the one thing I noticed. Julio here. 25% K rate, right? So middle of the pack. But Rodon's elite 33%. And I'm looking at last year and this year still. I should have just pulled up this year anyway, but I think it's still good enough to consider both because you're getting a good idea. He's given 30, or he's still on 33% K rate. That's just extremely high. So anything above 28%, it's on in your favor. Anything above 30 is just like, whoa, hands up. This guy's really, really throwing these Ks. So I think you get an enormous strikeout benefit here today from the pitcher, just looking at just metrics. And I like looking at this. I mentioned this at our other shows, Sierra, like a projected ERA. And what's cool about this is if you just look at the ERA for Carlos is 2.72. His Sierra is not as 3.05. So it's right there, nothing drastic. Whereas when you're looking at Julio, ERA 2.91, but the Sierra is now at 3.78. So they're expecting a full run or more differential here to happen on Julio as he starts pitching. And he is giving up 39% ground ball rate now. Carlos is at 37% himself, but I just think that K rate is going to be the benefactor there for the better pitcher. So I do lean, if I had to nitpick, I think Carlos is the better pitcher. And now you're talking about a rivalry. They're not just – these are not – and this is a very square comment, but favorites are just overpriced now, right? That's a whole different thing, this whole marketing thing these books are doing. They're just super overpriced. So I think when you just find even a little bit of an angle to say maybe this other team will win, and as we just talked about it, the line flash, it took $5 off. So plus 180 now at DraftKings, now plus 185 -1. I think you get some value in these, as you're saying, and that's where I'm looking at this now. I might have to do the -1 just because it's a lot of value, and I don't see it being a one-sided game. And you just mentioned a critical factor, the metrics there. These are really good Dodgers batters, but they've been tamed down by Carlos each time. That says something. And you get a season this year with all the offenses and everything is basically pointing it down. So you can even say that, hey, that'll help Carlos continue to do that today. So I'm with you. I think the dog could bark here today, and it's a big rivalry.
It's a big rivalry, and when you look at the Dodgers, they're actually 4-6 in their last 10. We all know how good they are. They will be there near the end, but they're hitting that kind of like midseason slump. They had an early one when the Phillies were out there too, and then they just all of a sudden turned it on and started beating everybody's brains in. But now they're back into a little bit of funk, and I think when you're in a funk against your rival, it's a tough spot to be. So they just might need to take the L, get out of town, go play the Angels, and get back on that streak. So I'm leaning that way. I mean, The Giants aren't lighting up either. They're 5-5 in the last 10, but a little better. ERA, staff ERA is like 3.7. Dodgers 4.6. So, not only are we looking at a matchup where we think we got the better pitcher, as you highlighted, but I also think we have the team that's playing a little better too, and it's a
right.
dog, so.
And if we start really nitpicking at the value at these lines, I mean, Dodgers are projected. Now, this is just like on a fantasy site, 4.23 run total, whereas the Giants are 3.77. So it's less than a half, right? Yeah. And to get a dog, for example, -1 plus 180 or so, 185, 180, when you're just looking at such a tight projection where we still feel that The pitchers on our side. You just got it. This is where you kind of have to get savvier now, because these, again, the favorites are overpriced by a lot, not just a little, by a lot. So if you can kind of find edges like this, and you see that it's too much, I didn't expect it to be plus 180, plus 185. So I'm with you here, man. I think Giants is the dog play of the day.
I love it. So you got any other leans? Or
no, that's it. I was thinking about attacking one other pitcher, drawing a blank here. I believe it was going to be. Maybe it was Cabrera. It was Cabrera, and take some Houston. See if he had. So I was going to see if Cabrera they had walk props against Cabrera, but they do not. If they do pop up, keep an eye on it and something to attack. I think Houston could get over that 1.5 or 2.5 walks today.
Yeah, and I was looking to attack the Royals, but I fell off once seeing how bad Brad Keller is. Last 5 starts, 6 straight starts, he's let up 3+ earned runs. His K rate, Tech, you hate 13%. And then his, looking at the Baltimore bullpen here, they're actually 5th best in the league. I know they're starting, a young kid that might only go 2-3 innings. I'm worried it's a bullpen game, so I backed off that. I did like the Royals until I kind of dug deep.
I like it though. Yeah. I like the back off is what I mean. Yeah. Sometimes you have to get very selective and fade things that get a little iffy in your selection process.
Yeah. You did that last night with the Red Sox, right? You were all in, and then you said, man, and then the Red Sox jump out 3-0. I'm like, oh, Jack.
And then they lose. So it worked out. That's the thing. If it starts feeling funny, just pull your money out. It comes down to protecting your capital when you're doing this too. We kind of forget to talk about that. So we get excited. We get excited to find data and angles. But we forget that at the end of the day, we have to kind of be selective and protect our money that we're trying to use through the season so we can stay alive and squeeze it out.
Absolutely. All right, let's recap for the listeners out there real fast. I'm going to roll with the Rays today, minus 120. I'm also on the White Sox, minus 145. I've seen it go down to. And the Giants is my dog of the day, plus 120. Tech.
I'm on Suarez over 1.5 walks at DraftKings, minus 115 or minus 120. And we did talk about Keegan Thompson giving up over 1.5 as a lean because it's expensive at around 175. And I think I'm going to jump on Gloeck's Giants here, but maybe do the -1 because I think plus 180, plus 185 is just ridiculous value here for something I just don't feel being lopsided.
I love it. I love it. Yep. This is another Sunday edition of the Smoke Shop here on the Heat Ratio Sports Network. We'll be sure to bring you more each and every Sunday as we get through the summer here, talking MLB bets. Tweet us, hit us up, ask us questions. We're always thinking about angles and going through our data. And we're here to, talk it up, have some fun, and most importantly, win a little extra money.
Yep.
All right, Tech. Until next Sunday, I'm Gloeck. That's Tech. We're deuces.